Everybody, lend me your ears as I take you to that one moment when your senses are heightened and you feel ready to face every obstacle ahead. Fate quietly ups the ante, and now your very own survival is at stake. Quick, you all better do something, or your next second might as well be your last. Will you be able to survive this contrived contraption set by Providence itself? Well, I don't know about you all, but today we have a line of speakers here to tell the tales of those who have cheated death due to their unwavering willpower and relentless tenacity. These people have gone to hell and even back, some simply because they were just badasses. So prepare yourselves for a tribute to those who just simply refuse to die. Presenting Survivors 101 by Blank 101.
We all have that one friend, or maybe we are that friend, who loves Mother Nature. Then, all your idea for good time is camping, hiking, mountain climbing, all of those early morning shenanigans? Well, today, I have a story for you which might make you reconsider your hobbies or your friendships. Our story begins innocently enough as the Donner Party sets out on a picturesque route through the Sierra Nevada mountains. Little did they know that Mother Nature had a different plan, one that involved a lot more snow than your average winter wonderland. As the snow piled up and the temperatures dropped, the Donner Party found themselves in a predicament that no amount of California dreaming could have ever prepared them for. However, these were not your average pioneers. They were resilient, resourceful, and dare I say, a tad bit adventurous. As the Donner Party embraced their newfound reality and set out on the adventurous route to their destination, California. When surrounded with an abundance of snow and a lack of provisions, what's a group of pioneers to do? Well, when life brings you snow, make snow coats, right? Though I'm not sure that was their exact thought process. A group of pioneers huddled together, surrounded by a snow-covered expanse, facing the ultimate test of survival. When the question wasn't just, will we make it to California? But rather, what's for dinner when everything's covered in snow? But wait, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Before we talk about their culinary capers, let's talk about their journey. It wasn't just a walk in a park. It was a walk in a park which happened to be covered with thick layers of snow. If life is a roller coaster, then the Donner Party found themselves on a ride which was blanketed with snow and sprinkled with frosty surprises. Now let's address the elephant, or shall I say, the frozen mammoth in the room? Cannibalism. The C word that even horror movie scripts shy away from. Desperate times call for desperate measures, and the Donner Party was faced with a dilemma tastier than any cooking show plot twist. When your menu options are limited to boot stew and frozen mystery casserole, you start to understand their choices. Back to our pioneers, who I must say exhibited a commendable level of creativity in the culinary department. Forget Gordon Ramsay. These people were the original kitchen innovators. Imagine them talking about the day's menu with the gravitas of a Michelin star chef, deciding between truffles and caviar. But only in their case, it was more like deciding between shoe leather stir fry or friendo organ lasagna. By the way, fun fact, all the body parts were dried and labeled to make sure that no one ate their own relatives. Great HR policies, if I must say. Amidst the challenges faced by the Donner Party, there exists a rather grim episode involving the two Native American guides. These people found themselves in the wrong side of the culinary conundrum. As the pioneers navigated through their dire situation, a decision was made, which in hindsight reads like the plot twist of a dark comedy. Their bodies, even though weak enough to sustain themselves, served as a rather satiating meal for the rest of the group. As the pioneers savored their unconventional delicacies, the rescue mission arrived, or as I like to call them, the snowbusters. Hot meals, warm blankets, and not a trace of shoe leather inside. It was the ultimate culinary plot twist. In the end, the Donner Party's survival saga isn't just about enduring snow-covered challenges. It's about the ability of companionship, the strength in the indomitable human spirit, and the ability to find humor even in the face of a frozen feast.
This disaster begins from the place you would least expect it to start from. The bathroom. On May 26 of 2013, there's the Jaskin Port, a tugboat with the 29-year-old cook Harrison O'Connor awake at the ungodly hour of 5 a.m. getting ready to make breakfast. This man, in his boxers, inside the bathroom of the boat, had his life flipped over. Quite literally. The boat decided to show him what see you on the flip side meant to it. As water started filling up the cubicle, Harrison left the bathroom. He swam to the exit hatch, where he saw his crewmates trying to open it. But it was watertight. So, while the water levels were rising, Harrison decided to, of all things, go deeper into the ship. Because he said, and I quote, "I did not have the patience to wait." This man makes me want to question life, because damn, he got lucky later. As he swam away, the force of the water swept him into the second engineer's bathroom, another bathroom, where he found his saving grace, an air pocket. Well, he pried open the door that fell shut after he was swept in, because they were always kept shut, because, well, pirates, that's normal. There was air trapped in the ship. He opened the door and found two life jackets with torches attached to them. He took them with him on his journey to find the exit door again, because while all of this was happening, his crew's shouts were dissipating, and he assumed they escaped. He didn't have enough air to go all the way through, so he returned and then tried again and again for the next several hours and minutes, but with no luck. That's when he decided to be practical and find food in the mess, and found his colleague's dead body. Oof. There's no cannibalism in this story, by the way. He found a can of sardines, a can of cola, and some coveralls too. He cut the coveralls and made a rope and tied it to the door so that he could find a way back in case he got tired at the exit hatch while trying to open it. He ripped the ceiling's wood panels and made a raft out of it to sit upon. And that's when, in the silence of the dark, he decided he wasn't going to leave the base. The door wasn't going to open. He thought of his mother, his wife, his brothers, and then he prayed. Suddenly, he heard a different sound. He hammered at the side of the boat in hopes of getting the person's attention. He had no idea how many hours or days later, he saw a reflection of light, like a bubble. He went in search of the source of light, failed, returned, filled his lungs with oxygen, and left again. And this time, he saw the diver. Bodycam footage of the rescue showed Harrison's pale hand floating in the water, and the diver said, "Yeah, we found one." And then the hand grips his own, And here comes the, he's alive, he's alive. Harrison was immediately taken to the decompression chamber for 2 days to lose the nitrogen in his blood. He couldn't believe it when the team told him he had been stuck underwater for 3 days. Incredibly, his vitals were good. His mental health, not so much. He went to Gambia to recover. He always loved the water, he said. So he went to a seafront hotel to swim in the sea, the pool, and then returned home to say, I was okay. The accidental aquanaut story doesn't end after surviving 30 meters underwater for nearly 60 hours though, no? A year later, when he was driving to work with his friend, his car fell off the bridge into water. Again, no one was injured. But this moment spurred him into action. He wanted to become a diver. But his brother talked him out of it because he was worried about his well-being. Then, in 2015, he and his wife separated. He was depressed. All he had was his dog. Good dog. He applied to a 3-month diving course without telling his brother and told his brother after finishing it. Nice try. Works. Tried it before. Here's the beauty of the end, or rather the beginning of his survival story. He is now a certified IMCA diver who was given his diploma from his own rescuer. In a world where being able to say the sky is the limit, or reaching for the stars is considered courageous or a sign of success, Harrison dove past his fears and reached up to 50 meters underwater to emerge victorious and live another day.
How many of you are claustrophobic? Now imagine yourself stuck in a very dark cave with no one to call for help. The absence of light combined with quickly depleting resources and the hope of survival slowly disappearing. This is what the Thai soccer team experienced when they were stuck for 18 days in Tham Luang caves. It was the 23rd of June 2018 when 12 members of a soccer team called Wild Boars and the coach 𝒂𝒄𝒄 decided to explore the caves to celebrate one of the members' birthday party. Man, what a bad decision. Talk about being irresponsible. Though the area was dry, the team got trapped due to sudden and continuous rainfall. To make matters even worse, they had to leave their food supplies behind due to the fast rising levels of water. Around 7 p.m., the head coach and founder of the team checked his phone to see that over 20 missed calls were there from parents worried that their children had not yet returned. He started calling everyone on the team, but no one was answering, except for this one guy, Songpon. Lucky for the whole team, Songpon decided to part ways just before they were entering the caves. Songpon told them where they were. The coach rushed to the caves, only to find abandoned cycles and bags. It dawned on him the entire team was stuck inside and there was nothing he could do except rushing to the authorities. And that is what he did. The operation to rescue the guys started that day as each minute and each second counted. In just 2 days, the Thai SEALs arrived. One of the SEALs said that the water was so murky that even with lights, they could not see underwater. To make matters even worse, the water did not stop. It rained. Teams from all over the globe came to the rescue. There were policemen with sniffer dogs. The event also gathered huge media attention and personalities like Elon Musk tried to help. But we all know what happened with that. There were drones and robots, but none of them were of use. It rained heavily up till 2nd of July. We took this opportunity and sent in 2 British divers. And finally, the boys were discovered. But this is not where the story ends. They were only discovered. They still had to be rescued. Now the challenges to the rescue were, they were discovered 4 kilometers inside the cave. The route to them had several flooded areas with strong currents, zero visibility, and extremely narrow paths. To add to it, some of the team members did not even know how to swim. It was reported that oxygen levels inside the caves were also slowly depleting. The rescue operation, 8th June 2018. 18 divers are sent into rescue. The boys are drugged unconscious and they are maneuvered by the divers who held onto their chest and backs, something like this. The boys are navigated through tight passages very carefully. It takes 2 whole days to take everyone out, but it is done. The success of this mission stood as a testament of human perseverance. The wild boars emerged into the light as symbols of survival. But what do we learn from this? If it isn't obvious, never, I mean never, celebrate your birthday inside a cave.
Can you imagine facing the stark feeling of isolation, the chilling silence enveloping you, trapped in an abyss, crushing your fragile body, forced to encounter the bone-chilling questions? What lengths would you go to survive and escape the powerful grip of nature? Aaron Ralston, formerly an engineer at Intel, resigned from his position to embark on a career as a dedicated outdoors enthusiast. An avid climber and adventurer, Aaron often imagined countless different scenarios of how he'd save himself if something went wrong, which is a typical engineering student's mindset before exams. Little did he know, the one that would make him famous would be amputating his own arm. It was April 26, 2003. Aaron was exploring the beautiful Blue John Canyon in Utah. An experienced outdoorsman, he believed he knew the trail like the back of his hand. Before he left, he didn't tell anyone where he was going and for how long he'd be gone. He thought that the hike could be an easy one and that he'd be back within a day, but fate had other plans in store. Ralston's hike changed entirely when he stepped on a loose boulder and fell into the canyon, trapping him in the middle of the desert with over 50 miles between him and the nearest civilization. His arm was sandwiched between an 800-pound boulder and the wall of the canyon. Terrified and in a state of panic, Ralston was afraid that expedition could be his last one. After calming down, Ralston assessed his situation. 1. He had no way to signal for help. 2. He was 30 meters below surface level. And 3. He had just 2 burritos and a bottle of water. Ralston spent the night chipping away the boulder. Little by little, he tried his best to cut away the rock that was trapping his arm. After 2 days spent fruitlessly excavating the rock, he devised a clever system of pulleys using his climbing ropes and chains. However, that effort turned out to be futile as he couldn't obtain the necessary tension with simply one hand. Now, Aaron had only one final option left: to cut his arm. He took out his pocket knife and tried slicing his skin. However, he could hardly draw any blood. After 5 days of fear, anxiety, and panic, Ralston faced the reality that the canyon might serve as his final resting place. He recorded a video on his camcorder, saying goodbye to his family and friends and stating his final will and testament. He began thinking of his escape route again and then realized he didn't really need his blunt knife to cut through his bones. Instead, he found that the rock was positioned in such a way that he could simply snap and break his bones and cut through everything else. And that's exactly what he did. After an hour of excruciating pain and immense effort, Ralston was finally able to break himself free from the clutches of the boulder. Now, he was tasked with getting away from the canyon and reaching the nearest hospital as soon as possible. With one arm rapidly losing blood, he climbed himself out of the canyon and walked 6 miles until a family found him and notified the authorities. Medics reached Ralston 4 hours after his amputation. If they had waited any longer, he would have died due to severe blood loss. Since his amputation, Aaron has written an internationally best-selling book, Between a Rock and a Hard Place, which is later adapted into the Hollywood film 127 Hours. With new prosthetic arms that he designed, Aaron returned to his outdoor passions. He skied from the summit of Denali, North America's highest mountain, and he's also led a rafting expedition through the Grand Canyon. His death-defying experience brought a new perspective when dealing with other adversities, including depression, divorce, and the loss of his father. He has ever since made a full-time career as a motivational speaker, delivering talks about his accident and how it has transformed his life. As we reflect on Aaron's story, let us merely not see it as a tale of survival, but rather a mirror reflecting the untapped potential within us. What would we amputate from our lives to break free from the metaphorical boulders that hold us captive? What bold decisions would we make to reshape our destinies? Aaron's story invites us to question the limits we impose upon ourselves and consider the extraordinary possibilities that emerge when faced with adversity.
We all know the ship Titanic, which sank due to ice. This is the story of a ship with a very similar fate to it. However, unlike the Titanic, its entire crew of 28 men survived. This ship was very aptly named the Endurance, a testament to the willpower of its entire crew, who survived for months on the desolate Antarctic ice, stranded literally oceans away from habitation. Sir Ernest Shackleton, a name synonymous with leadership in adversity, set out on an audacious quest to traverse the Antarctic continent, a journey that would etch his name into exploration history. Little did he know that the greatest test of endurance would come not in the form of crossing frozen landscapes, but in facing the Antarctic ice and surviving on it for an undetermined amount of time. Picture the year 1914, a time of daring dreams and uncharted territories. Shackleton, along with his crew aboard the ship, set out to make the first ever land crossing of Antarctica. However, fate had other plans. The ship soon became ensnared in the unforgiving grip of the Weddell Sea ice, leaving the crew stranded in the inhospitable Antarctic conditions. Undeterred, Shackleton made the audacious decision to abandon ship, leading to the crew setting up camp on the drifting ice. Let's just say they were literally walking on thin ice when, undeterred, the entire crew salvaged what supplies they could and successfully trekked across the frozen wasteland to reach Elephant Island. Elephant Island, a desolate refuge that offered no hope of survival. Here, Shackleton faced an agonizing choice. He could either stay behind and wait for an uncertain fate, or embark on an epic quest for survival. True to his indomitable nature, Shackleton chose the latter. The subsequent open-boat journey to South Georgia, the James Kidd expedition, stands as one of the most remarkable feats of seamanship in history. Frank Worsley, the navigator, and his pinpoint accuracy in the most impossible of weather conditions was crucial to its success. Shackleton and his hand-picked crew endured towering waves, bone-chilling cold, and the constant threat of capsizing, successfully navigating the treacherous Southern Ocean for 800 miles, finally reaching the rocky shores of South Georgia. But the saga did not end there. In a final act of determination, Shackleton and two steadfast successfully crossed the mountainous interiors of South Georgia to reach a whaling station on the other side. Months after the Endurance was lost, on 30th August 1915, Shackleton returned to rescue the remaining crew stranded on Elephant Island. What Shackleton and his men endured, the incredible odds on the line, and the entire journey of salvation is a testament to the power of human endurance. They all returned home heroes, and to their great surprise, the beginning of one of the bloodiest wars ever, the Great War. Time had literally frozen from their perspectives,
as they missed the entire first half of the war. Their return was so talked about that the press stopped printing news about the war to focus on the Antarctic heroes who had all returned life and limb intact. I am sure none of them ever struggled with brain freeze again, as most of them went on to serve either in the war or in government jobs, having had the frozen adventure of a lifetime. All in all, I'd say that this mission was maybe slightly frostier than that of the Titanic, but overall a whole lot more successful.
How many of you have come across Sabaton? They make music about the greatest battles and survivors across our history. All of the songs are pretty iconic and straight up bangers. You see, when I was researching about this talk, I decided to pop on some Sabaton and I started typing away. And by research, I mean I was watching 𝒊𝒏𝒂 𝑬𝒙 and not researching whatsoever. Eventually, after some tiring research, an amazing song graced my ears. The song's name was Inmate 4859, a song about valor, grit, and possibly one of the greatest survivors in our history. Today, I'll be talking about a man named Witold Pilecki. Born in 1901, he grew up amidst the greatest of wars and learned much of his life lessons in the battlefield. As a young man, he was very well into art, and also as a young man was drafted into the Polish-Soviet wars. Following the devastating war, the man decided to settle down, to make a home, to make a family, to settle down to a time of peace and harmony. This man was righteous, kind, and all in all perfect. To put into perspective in Gen Z literature, bro was literally him. You see, much of this peace came to a very harsh halt. In 1939, as German troops entered Polish territory as a part of the bloodiest war campaign in history, World War II. Now, to combat against the Nazi tensions, the Polish resistance organization was created by Witold Pilecki. This resistance organization had a very cool name, the Underground, or in uncool terms, the Polish Secret Army. Now, as more and more Polish men were being captured and persecuted, a main question kept lingering. Where were these men being taken? And what was being done to them? This question kept bugging Witold Pilecki for way too long, and he had enough. He walked up to the underground and demanded just one thing. He wanted the Germans to capture him. The underground were taken aback, but they couldn't do much to the adamancy that Witold displayed. Thus they went ahead with it. You see, Witold Pilecki wanted to enter a dreaded camp called Auschwitz just to gather intel. Thus started the story of this marvelous man. This man walked up to his apartment, stood dead center, waiting for the German men to enter his apartment and capture him. As the time went by, he further conspired against the Nazi government, and lo and behold, he wanted to create a revolution inside Auschwitz. You see, Auschwitz at the time was not very well known. Not many people knew what was going on in there. As it came to be, the reports that he made from within the camp are said to be the most versatile reports detailing the atrocities committed by the Germans against the people of the camp. Now this man, he decided to enter the most damned places on earth and decided to create a revolution. This journey of creating a camp within the concentration camp was not easy. He faced adversities like no one. This man was beaten to the extent his teeth fell off. He was so sick, he had to spend much of his time in the infirmary. He suffered from syphilis and typhoid on a day-to-day basis. This man was thrown naked into barbed wires. And worst of all, he had to see his fellow revolutionary members being killed right in front of his eyes. He faced the worst of challenges, but his idea was steadfast. He looked death right in the eye and said everything was fine. After 3 years of eternal purgatory, this man decided to leave Auschwitz, like it was his friend's house, like it was a vacation. He packed up and left, and lo and behold, he was successful. If you thought his time of peace was finally here, you'd be dead wrong. Life literally said, nah. This man was found in the crossroads of possibly the bloodiest war in existence, Warsaw Uprising. He lived to tell the tale after a devastating defeat. To reiterate, this man survived possibly the worst genocide attempts in history and also survived the most bloodiest wars within World War II. Now, of course, if you go to Auschwitz or Poland, the dustiest corridors will still ring the tale of this marvelous man. Many Polish writers and artists and directors have brought about his story into the limelight. And two main things have always stuck with the ideals of his story. One thing was peace and harmony are not something you receive individually, not something you achieve just like that as a single person. It's something you do or something you get achieved as a group of people, something you do as a cooperation. Just like how Wittol decided to unionize the members within the camp, we are to unionize the people in our life. We are to bring the people around us together, make peace and harmony together. And one other thing that we can derive from his story is how a steadfast ideal with the right morals will always lead you to your goal. His goal was to gather intel, and he did it beyond all the atrocities that were committed against him. I like to end with a quote. Anything you do, you trod on your own path, for anything is within the realms of possibility.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to an end to our talk. We talked about men like Aaron Ralston, who showed a great sense of decisiveness in the face of adversity. We talked about the settlers who braved the Oregon Trail in the most inhospitable of climates, with nothing but the clothes on their back and their indomitable spirits. We talked about Harrison O'Kenneth, and quite possibly the luckiest bathroom break of all time, which was in stark contrast with quite possibly the unluckiest bathroom break of all time. Sorry. The unluckiest birthday party of all time. Ladies and gentlemen, spare a thought for that poor kid. Never mind being stuck in a cave that's rapidly filling up with water. Just imagine what the man went through. He's going to be completely traumatized for the rest of his teenage years. After that, we discussed, I think, slightly above the socially acceptable amount for cannibalism. And of course, we talked about the brave crew of the Endurance and 𝑬𝒙 𝒂𝒄𝒉𝒊𝒂𝒄, who showed true bravery and mastered the art of survival through the bloodiest conflict that this world has ever seen. What truly unites all of these stories together is that at their core, they're stories about holding on to a sense of hope. They're about looking at the odds in the face and just giving them the finger. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an ability that is innate in each of us present here. It's something that is innate to every single human. It's our ability to survive. It's our ability to look at dire odds in the face and just treat them as one-on-one. Thank you.
I would like to give a word of thanks. A big thank you to Aditi ma'am of 𝑬𝒙 𝑴𝒂𝒄𝒉𝒊𝒏𝒂 who could not join us today. A big thanks to PCB for covering the event, and a very big thanks to MIT for providing us with the venue. And again, a huge round of applause for all of you who sat here and cheered all of us on tonight. And I would also like to announce the official creative writing and speaking workshop of Blank 101, which will be happening in a few days, that is 27th and 28th of Jan. So before you leave, make sure to sign up, and we will be forcing that on you, so that's not a choice really. So yeah guys, this was Survivors 101 by Blank 101. Thank you all for being here. I am so sorry. And a huge thanks to our Prezi coordinator. Please come on the stage so we can all give a round of applause to you. You can also say something if you
Everyone's free to leave now. Thank you so much for joining us.